Welcome to Cargo Insights TV, where today we bring you our webinar held on 22nd January 2025 on the theme Logistics and You, Exploring Careers Globally in a Fast-Growing Industry. This webinar brought forward industry leaders and experts who shared valuable insights into the exciting career opportunities and growth happening in the logistics sector. If you missed the live event, don't worry, you can catch up with all the details right here. Let's dive in.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Riya Malhotra, your host for today's event, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to Cargo Insights' first logistics webinar titled Logistics and You, Exploring Careers Globally in a Fast-Growing Industry. Now, why are we focusing on careers in logistics today? The logistics industry is booming and driving demand for skilled professionals. Let's look at some numbers to understand this better. According to the World Economic Forum and International Transport Forum, the logistics sector employs around 50 million people globally across transportation, warehousing, and logistics tech. By 2030, it's expected to create over 5.5 million new jobs worldwide, fueled by digital transformation, complex global supply chains, outpacing most other industries. Isn't that great? Today's session will explore these opportunities and help you take the next step towards a dynamic career. Now, without further ado, we are delighted to have with us three distinguished experts from the logistics industry who will share their invaluable knowledge, insights, and guidance on building a successful career in this dynamic field. Please join me in warmly welcoming our esteemed speakers, Lieutenant General Dharam Vir Kalra, Mr. Shahzad Izediyar, and Professor Vivek Kumar. It's truly an honor to have you all here. Now it's my privilege to introduce our first speaker, Lieutenant General Dharam Vir Kalra, a living inspiration at remarkable age of 90 years. Can you believe it? With a distinguished 39-year career in the Indian Army, Lieutenant General Kalra revolutionized logistics, overseeing rupees 50,000 crores in inventory as Director General of Ordnance Services and pioneering the Central Inventory Control Protocol. Post-retirement, he transitioned into academia, teaching at IIT Delhi and IIM Roorkee, and co-authoring a leading supply chain management textbook. Lieutenant General Kalra's legacy, unwavering dedication, and pursuit of excellence remind us all that age is no barrier to making a lasting impact. The platform is all yours, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am most grateful to Cargo Insights for having given me this opportunity to interact with you on this subject, which has been very close to my heart. I would say that this particular subject, several years ago, I think more than 10, 12 years ago, I was asked to talk on this subject at a seminar where I started by saying that how little people know about logistics, and that's why this wonderful career does not attract the talent that it deserves. The career has really a lot of potentials, but the pity is very little was known. Now, sometime in the month of March 2008, I found somebody had flashed this message asking people, "Hi, can anybody tell me what is the future of MBA in logistics and supply chain management?" This was an open question thrown to everybody. This chap must be looking for knowing what to do with it. If I go in for this career in supply chain, what will I get? And there was absolutely no response. For one whole year, nobody responded. Again, he repeated this question a year later, and yet there was no response. So it just shows that people were totally unaware as to what is the possible, what logistics is and what are the possible careers. And therefore, I think he went beyond this, and rather than throwing it open to on a website or some whatever it was, to the whole lot of public. He focused it to the career agencies. He shifted it to appointment, where you apply for jobs, etc. And somebody answered this. He said, well, it does have a promising future, no doubt, but there's hardly any teaching institute in India. There's a couple of them are available abroad, but they are very expensive. So therefore, while on the one hand, it was encouraging, on the other, it was impracticable. It did not help. So the people are still left wondering. And that's where it stood. Now, before I go further, I only want to say one thing. If you ask anybody, a student or anybody else, as to what is logistics, even the practitioners you ask in the business world, mostly they'll tell you it's something to do with transportation, something to do with movement, or movement of material from one end to the other. People who are a little better informed, they say, oh no, it also includes warehousing, warehouse management. And then somebody will say, oh, it also includes distribution. Oh, yes, it also includes sea transportation. So gradually they add, but the entire scope of logistics, I'm afraid, has hardly ever been understood by people. Logistics is such a vast area, what a vast subject, and such tremendous amount of opportunities only if you look at the entire thing. If you look at a piecemeal job, you can look only a part of it. You understand only a part of it. You understand only a logistics or a warehousing or anything. But you only look at the totality of it, then only you see where do you go and what are the possibilities. So this question was again repeated, and you see here, somebody did say that Mr. Ambani had spoken that it has great future, and he also quoted an institute which teaches this. This institute, when I logged in, I think they have migrated to some other place, and therefore, again, not getting you very far. So now it is necessary for people to know what all is available, where all to go to learn this. You can say that it's important. Yes, I also understand it's important, but I wish to know where do I get the right kind of qualification. Now you see, this is the problem. Problem is there is lack of awareness about the logistics industry. Then there's insufficient number of training institutes. And even if there are absence of any certified institutes are there which have a international credibility, and you will find that if you have a certificate of nature, you will be acknowledged as somebody who will usefully contribute to the industry. So this is the problem. Now, as Ria said in the beginning, with those figures which she has pulled out from somewhere, which really mind-boggling as to where the industry stands today and where it is likely to go in the year 2030. So we are living in times which are really very good, that the future is absolutely good. But long time back, these statements were made by people who really mattered, who understood. Mr. Michael Heseltine, who was actually the deputy chief, deputy prime minister of UK at one time, and he said businesses cannot hope to win in world markets unless they get their logistics right. So logistics became something which people understood. This is what matters. You may do everything else okay, but unless you get your logistics right, you cannot succeed. And I used to say this is true, absolutely true, because the other departments have almost plateaued. The return on investment is not so much as this area, because, and those of you who have read somewhere where Peter Drucker said logistics is the last frontier. What he meant was that this is an area which has tremendous potential, but people do not know about it. And you need to explore this, because other areas, the return on investment is so low that it's not worth trying. This is an area where the return will be so much if you just touch it. But unfortunately, it has been so long neglected. And I served in the army for 39 years. I happened to be a part of logistics. And very often, I'm sorry to say, people did not realize as to we also matter, we also contribute. And in the business world, if somebody ever went up to the top man, he said, sir, I want to talk to you about logistics, or I want to talk to you about inventory or transportation, by and large, I may be slightly exaggerating, he would say, look, I have no time. This is not my prime concern. Go and talk to that man sitting in that last shed who looks into the inventory and transportation. This is not. But now, today, any CEO, any CFO who does not talk about inventory management is out of business. He does not know what he's doing because he does not know where to apply all effort. So the second definition that is there, or shall I say statement, it says the correct application of the principles of modern logistics represents not only one among a number of possible routes, but central and decisive. How important it is that this is a route which is really very, very important. And without it, or if you combine the two statements, you can never hope to succeed unless you attend to logistics and get your logistics right. In war also, we always said, since that is my background, in the so many wars it has been proved that the troops win battles, logistics win wars. Troops can win battles, capture ground, but eventually wars are won by logistics. Today, if Ukraine and Russia are fighting, how much of logistics effort is required to keep them fighting? And let me tell you, when they get exhausted because supplies will dry up, they will automatically stop. No amount of efforts otherwise works. When you stop feeding them, when you stop giving them the wherewithal to war, how will they fight? The war will come. So that is the importance. Logistics, anyone who has better logistics at the end will win. Between the two, Russia on his own or Ukraine with all his allies, where do we go and how Mr. Trump pulls the plug, I do not know. But nevertheless, logistics will be a defining factor. Well, this is how I said, how people understand logistics. You must have heard of this famous fable about the 10 blind men and an elephant. So because each one looks at part of it. The man who's got the tail, he thinks that elephant is a rope. The one who's got his leg, he says, well, it's like a pillar. And the one who's got his ear, he says, like a fan. So when you look at things in a part, bit by bit, you don't understand what it is. Can you look at the total elephant? Can you understand the total elephant? And I had once read, I've forgotten the statement, it says, to understand an elephant, you can't cut it into pieces. When you cut it into pieces, it's a dead elephant. If you want to understand full elephant, then you have to look at the picture totally. And now I'll show you how the army defines logistics. Because I might talk about army first because it's my background. And secondly, most management techniques, ladies and gentlemen, in all humility, have come from the army. Why have they come from the army? Because best of solutions are found in the world when you're in the greatest of stress. And there can be no greater stress than in war, when your life is in danger. You then find some solution to escape. Forget about the first part, the maintenance of armies. Those aspects of military operations that deal with design, development, acquisition, storage, movement, distribution, maintenance, evacuation or disposition of material, movement, evacuation, hospitalization of personnel, acquisition of construction, maintenance, operations, and disposition of all facilities, acquisition and furnishing of services. You can imagine, the scope is so large. We say it is something which is from birth to death, from cradle to grave, from end to end. Everything is covered by logistics. Therefore, in between anything that happens, whether you manufacture, you store, you move, etc., it all can happen only if logistics work. And those who wish to join this career, you see, please look beyond jobs, look for career. And career opportunities in logistics are really great, and it is growing. Let me tell you, it has a great future. And these are the various areas in which you can specialize: transportation, warehousing, freight forwarding, custom, data analytics, and sustainability, technology. For instance, talking about technology, let me tell you, all developments in the AI, in the IoT or blockchain or everything will come from supply chain, because this is where really it matters how to move material. And unless you can get best, I put 3 words. You have to increase visibility, velocity, and volume. If your stocks are visible, if they move fast, if they move in volume, you are successful. If you do not know what is, visibility is not there, you can't move it fast, and you can't do so. So therefore, you are at a loss. That are the various job roles that you can see there here. You can be a logistics manager, supply chain manager, transportation manager. And then, having learned all this, if you want to go up, forget all this. You are saying, what are you after all this? Learn all this and forget, because now you get a total view from end to end, and become a leader. You can be a professional in one area, but you must know a little bit of everything, and everything about the top. So that is how you can get the best out of these managers as a leader. And now these are the various skills that you need. You got to be a good cost analyst, relationship management in supply chain is most important. How you develop a relationship with your supplier, how you develop a relationship with your customer, and in between, all people who take part in the supply chain, relationship is the most. If you want to take one word for me, relationship. Build good. It is a thing of collaborative effort, jointly to see to it that you minimize the cost and maximize the revenue and maximize the profit to which goes to the customer, and then you shall win. Okay, here are some current salaries. In the jobs you can see the job pays and pays. Only when you become a career person and go to the top and look at the whole thing, then you suddenly jump. And therefore, this is the way. Don't you join here and then forget this. Then come to the end and combine the whole thing and build a career, which will, let me tell you, I used to tell students when I taught this, they would ask me, sir, do I have a job opportunity? This I'm talking about 10 years back. I said, look, today I can tell you there's no job. If you think you go outside and somebody's looking at, no. But today you prepare, tomorrow you'll have a job. So the time has come now to move into it. Okay, this is the kind of education I think by and now, if you're not convinced that logistics is worth it, then I suppose I may have not been successful. But if you think you have a career, if you think you have a future in this, join it. This is the future. Thank you very much.
Now it's my pleasure to welcome our next speaker, Mr. Shahzad Izediyar, Vice President, Network and Alliance at Softlink Global. With 25 years of experience, Mr. Izediyar is a seasoned IT strategist driving digital transformation across industries. At Softlink Global, he champions integrated solutions to boost productivity and business growth. An expert in IT infrastructure, data analytics, and cloud solutions, he shares insights on emerging technologies like AI and IoT at industry forums, inspiring innovation and growth.
So basically, what I'm going to talk in the similar lines as what Mr. Karla had spoken about. And of course, I will just tell you one thing is that even today, I'm going to say when I meet some of the students across and I speak to them about the logistics, the only thing that clicks in their mind is Amazon, Zepto, and these sort of a delivery that happens across with it. That's what they understand by the definition of logistics, unfortunately. So they don't know much more what goes behind the logistics environment as such. And you covered it very well in terms of your presentation. And I will proceed ahead with just first giving a bit of an input on Softlink Global as such. Now, Softlink Global basically has over 3 decades plus of immense domain knowledge and experience accelerators. And if you see this, I would say the wall of success and achievements that we have gained over these 3 decades. To proceed ahead, I would like to cover up certain facts, but I won't get into details because Ria already did that sort of a presentation in terms of the volume of the market that is coming into place as such. But there are 3 things which I want to talk about it. One is the second point. If you look at it, right, the market value of logistics in India has been around 228.4 billions, and what it's aiming at is around 545.6 billions by 2030. And that's the sort of a thing which basically even the government of India is trying to support with, right? The other aspect which I want to cover up is the employment base. I mean to say already Ria covered up that sort of a thing, but I will just share that part of the component that in Jan 2024, basically there were 124,918 sort of opportunities that were posted globally. Right, that is the sort of a progress that it is making. Yeah, there is still to be done a lot. But so therefore, what are the things that I'm trying to cover over here? There are 2 things. One is basically logistics drives the economy, and therefore the depth of logistics is quite extensive, which one needs to understand and realize. The other one is basically the job opportunity or the career opportunity, sir, as you rightly mentioned, is what I would like to term it here, is quite a lot. Right. So this is the second parameter, which basically, or other second factor, which empowers Softlink Academy. The other part of role of technology in logistics industry, what I'm trying to show here is nothing different from any other industry as such, right? big data analysis, if we talk about artificial intelligence, we talk about Internet of Things, we talk about that is the IoT, blockchain technology that we speak about, cloud computing, augmentation reality, and virtual reality. These are all basically used as a solution for many of the industry as such. But don't forget, for logistics, this also plays a very major role. Right? Like, for example, autonomous vehicles, there are quite a bit being used these days in the warehousing solutions as such, right? Where the errors have been taken care of in a manner that the inventory are managed correctly as such. So that is where the technology is progressing towards. And hence, what are we talking about? The skill sets, right? So you already spoke about quite a lot in the similar fashion, which is there, which is talking about the analytical skills that is there, right? I mean to say a business decision cannot just happen like that without a proper, you having an MIS or analytics done on that particular thing. That is where the growth comes into place. That is where you decide on the business portfolio and how to move across ahead. Technology proficiency is nothing to do with only the IT infrastructure as such, but there are these other new saga or the new technologies that are coming into place is what we all know about and we need to achieve. And that is what I'm sure every students would be familiar with these sort of technologies across as of today, but I believe so. The other thing is, sir, as you rightly mentioned, and everybody would agree to this, is soft skills. Soft skills is something that basically it's very, very important. It's not just an attitude, but basically your communication and the negotiation skills is very important over here. And especially to adapt to the cultural environment, right? Which you have to adapt to that particular thing to achieve the best. Okay, so that's the thing which is there. Then the project management. Project management is something like managing tasks or the timelines, the budget controls. These all play an important aspect. So if you see the entire thing is there, I mean to say within that particular versatility of the professionalism that one needs to obtain. The other one is customer focus. Yes, customer is the king. We need to be in touch with customer. And as rightly mentioned by Lieutenant General Dharam Vir, is that we need to maintain that relationship. It's not only with the customer, but I will agree to sir with the suppliers also as well. But there is something which is missing, and that is where, you know, the domain knowledge. Domain knowledge is something which is very important. And it's been taught across in the institutes wherever we are connected with. We understand that you know, there is quite a bit of theoretical basically presentation of the subject is being delivered as such, but still it lacks in terms of the exposure that the students get in understanding how the flow functions. So this has been the third factor, and therefore that is where the Softlink Academy comes into the picture. Now, the Softlink Academy bus, basically what I was talking about, is empowered by Softlink Global, which is talking about the logistics part of it, where it's supposed initiative and gives us that sort of a global reach. The other thing, it helps upskill the logistics sector, right? With that sort of a professional that they deserve to have within the team as such, right? The other thing is the skill development. Right? The course offerings, the training programs is what we work towards and try to develop across and help the forum in terms of giving the opportunity to the students as such. Let's say subject matter like science or engineering or anything of that sort. What happens? There is a lab basically. Like you have a laboratory where you practically do that sort of an activity or do work over there, right? Where you relate to the subject matter. So over here, we are talking about that where there is a theoretical space only being made available in the institutes as such, practical experience is something which is missing, right? And that is where we come into the picture, right? That gives a particular sort of a preparedness for the students when that student is getting into the industry, right? And having that confidence in facing the interviews. And the other one is the readiness that he has in terms of getting that sort of an opportunity to work along with it, right? And hence build his career growth. So that is where is something which we feel is the practical experience that is missing out over here. And this is where Softlink Academy would want to bridge that sort of a gap. Logiton is something which we basically bring forward to. Now, this is something which we did it for the Dharam Institute of Engineering. We had organized a sort of an event over there, and you won't believe there were 4 problem statements in this competition, and we had around 3,000 plus students registering for it, and 500 odd team got created. 120 people were 120 group basically were certified to be there for a full 24 hours sort of a project completion. And if you see the sort of encouragement that the students have, and we have, in fact, in our own company, we have appointed around 8 to 9 people in our company itself. And as I said in the beginning, those other things which we are talking about, Logic Connect and all, some of these kids were involved into that particular creation as well. So that's the sort of a success factor that Softlink Academy brings forward. I won't take much of a time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Izediyar, for such an enlightening session. Your insights were truly inspiring and gave us a plenty to think about.
Thank you.
We are honored to introduce our next and final speaker for today's webinar, Professor Vivek Kumar, an alumnus of IIT Roorkee and FMS Delhi University. Professor Kumar brings over 41 years of experience. His extensive corporate background includes 16 years with companies like Shriram's, Tata's, and Polar Groups, where he led supply chain and various other projects. As a senior professor at Ford School of Management, Professor Kumar has been teaching supply chain management since 1981. I wasn't even born then, trust me. He has also led 300 plus certifications and training programs for industry leaders such as Maruti Udyog, LG Electronics, and GAIL. We're excited to hear from you, Professor Kumar.
Actually, good afternoon to everybody. First, let me pay my regards to my guru here, General Kalra. We have been collaborating for a long time and I have learned a lot from him. I'm more going to talk about and get into what options you have. And as rightly said by Shahzad, that normally when we say logistics, we only look at the transport part of it. No, there are many job options, many choices, and logistics covers a huge area where you can look for jobs. All cannot directly or anywhere. Even when I started my career, I could not think of joining at the top of the ladder and looking at all of aspects. So we all start from one side and slowly build upon it, and as we grow up. So I'll be talking about the areas where there are a lot of job opportunities. We have say close to 20 million people working directly in logistics, and this does not include the huge volume of people who are drivers either on the roads or on the trains or even in the air, the pilots. And they are also part of the logistics scenario. And then all those people who handle the cargo. But there are so many areas, and depending on your own skill set, on interests, on limitations, you can select some of these. And I can assure you they are offering generally better salary options than most of the other fields. We can go to the next slide, Ria. So one area I'll not discuss much at this stage up till now is procurement. It's a very difficult area and a very important area, an area which has always been there. Finding the right, as the ISO standard says, external provider. How do we select from where to buy? Who should be my partner? From whom? What will be the criteria for selecting a supplier? That itself, so a very big job opportunity is in supplying. When I joined industry some 45 years ago or 44 years ago, this was a clerical job. Procurement was a clerical job. No, you won't find any officers in it. No, not much thought went into it. But today you will find maybe vice presidents, general managers handling this area. And again, you can start from the bottommost rung, depending on your capability. If you are MBA, wonderful. Even if you're not an MBA, plain BCom, even plain BA, this is a very interesting area. And today, procurement is no more limited to local sourcing. Procurement is global because now importing from anywhere in the world is practical. But the difficulty is how do we, those who can interact, those who can speak languages, now all these become skills for supply chain professionals. Speaking foreign languages, capability of locating a supplier anywhere in the world. Simple Google doesn't help. It has to be more important than that. So the first aspect is in procurement, you can become a specialist in selecting the source or selecting a supplier. That is the starting point. And supplier need not only mean materials. Supplier could be even services, uh, tying up with appropriate uh, transport agencies, handling agencies. They all will fall in the category of external providers. And they should be good, they should be capable. So all these parameters we go into selection of external providers. And then sometimes you have a good external provider but may not be competent at this stage. So sometimes it becomes your responsibility in developing that external provider or supplier or transporter or material handler or warehouse company so that they can improve their knowledge, their skills, and you can help them develop those skills. It requires a lot of good negotiation skills because a lot of money is involved, a lot of commitments are involved. So you have to look at how do we do the negotiations with these people. And then finally, the document which you make, the purchase order you prepare or the work order you prepare, that is a legal document and it is enforceable by law. So you have to be very careful and you may need a bit of legal knowledge. So that is another skill which you can use, or legal knowledge which is a part of BCom courses or MBA courses, which will be handy for you to drafting the purchase order or drafting the work order or working out a business contract. So contract management, all this is part of the field, and you can go up right to the top where all procurement activities are involved. So that is the first area which gives you a huge opportunity. And I'm seeing for last 2 decades, this particular field is changing very fast and growing very fast. Even small companies are now hiring and developing senior people in purchase function or procurement function. Now we talk of warehouse, and this is a very big business. India is very poor at warehouse management, and people are coming up with professional warehouses. As in China, I have seen warehouses as so big that probably half of the warehousing capacity available in Delhi would go into one warehouse in Shanghai. So that kind of warehouses, the automation, and as Shahzad also mentioned, that today we are using a lot of self-propelled equipment to manage the warehouses. So we have to design the warehouses depending, and then we have to uh, ensure the accounting, what is where, what is the value, what is new, what is old. We have to also look at the process of receiving stocks, the process of selecting stock, picking stocks, and issuing stocks. And very important, till the materials are sitting with us, how we preserve, how we keep the stocks so that they don't get damaged. So a lot of work is happening in this case. I recall visiting in Copenhagen, once upon a time, one of the biggest warehouses. It used to have in the 1970s something like 5 lakh pieces of different types of inventories. 5 lakh pieces, electronics, electrical, appliances, food items, um, glass items, furniture, everything. And they were sitting in something like 10 square kilometer of place. And their specialty was that they would be able to pick material, pack it, and dispatch it within 24 hours. That was their capability. So that is what is a very important warehouse management. A fairly large company which I am presently guiding. So it has 9 factories spread all over North India. And naturally, when they have to send it to the customers, material has to come from all 9 factories, and only the complete consignment will be ready. So I am helping them develop warehouses, and also help them locate warehouses all over India, so that material can be picked up and delivered on time. So this is it is not only physical job, lot of design job is there in making a good warehouse. And there are
another 2 minutes to go.
okay. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah. And then the routing, the selection of transporters. You want to send goods by roads. You want to send goods by rails, airways, sea routes, and inland waterways, which are becoming more and more popular in. It is already very popular in Europe and North America, but it has now slowly become popular in India also. And Government of India is setting up national waterways. So, what mode of transport, or are we going to use a combination of mode of transport? This itself is a very interesting area, and this involves all your transport options. Either you have your own vehicles, or you are going to utilize available vehicles. Next, please. Then there are opportunities in the area of cold chain. Cold chain could be simple room temperatures, or 10 degrees, 5 degrees, or minus degrees, negative cold, -10, -15, -20. Warehousing, within warehousing, are we want to stock grains, we stock fruits, vegetables, or flowers, or any other item, meat, and you'll be surprised. India has a lot of hunger, but India is also so rich that about 30% of the grain which we produce is spoiled because we don't have proper warehousing. About 40% of the vegetables and fruits never reach the person's mouth. And floriculture, when we talk of tulips, we immediately think of Holland, but very few people know India produces more tulips than Holland, but we are not able to even move them to Delhi. Next. Packaging is another very interesting area. We have, and again, Indians we do over packaging, and still our goods get damaged. So we have to ensure they are transport worthy, they are light, they make a good shelf presence, they are suitable for the product and the area where we are moving the goods. And what containers to use, you'll be surprised. Railways offers 130 types of containers. Air transport has got about 80 type of containers, ready-made containers. And for road transport, we have got so many containers, including refrigerated containers. So we should know what is available, and then we can use it. Next. As Shahzad was very rightly saying, we have a lot of scope in the area of documentation and domestic, even simple transport documents, even coming out of your warehouse, coming into your warehouse. Lot of tax implications are there. Then international documentation, bill of material, and others. Tax requirements are there. Waste management is there. There's the legal issues on waste management. So there's so much documentation areas, and people with law background or BCom commerce background can do a lot of work in this area. Yes, please.
That was all of the slides.
Yes. So that is what I wanted. If any of the participants have any queries, most welcome. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Professor Kumar, for your insightful session. I'm sure everyone has learned a lot from your wealth of experience. Can we have a round of applause through emojis? You must know that the webinar isn't just over yet. In order to keep things lively and see who's been actually paying attention, we have prepared a short quiz for all of you. So the question number 1, which industry has the highest demand for logistics professionals? The poll is visible on your screen. Which skill is essential for managing a warehouse in the logistics industry? The poll will be visible on your respective screens. Moving forward, the question number 3. Which logistics trend is most likely to be impacted by sustainability goals? The poll is visible on your respective screens. Moving forward to our next slide. Question number 4, which is the last question. Which mode of transportation is most commonly used for global trade and logistics? Before the Q&A session, I'd like everyone to kindly honor all of our 3 esteemed speakers for their wonderful interaction today, for the wonderful discussions they had today. Please give me a huge round of applause of emojis for them, all 3 of them. They have been wonderful speakers today. All of you have been a wonderful audience. Thank you for attending today's webinar. Before ending, we're excited to announce that we will be back with the second episode of this series on logistics careers, as it is worth attending and talking about. So we'll be back with the same soon. Stay tuned for more details. We appreciate time of all the participants as well as the speakers today. Thank you so much for joining. You may now leave the meeting. Thank you so much.
Thanks all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. We hope this webinar gave you a fresh perspective on the dynamic career opportunities in logistics. Be sure to like, share and subscribe Cargo Insights TV for more expert insights, industry trends, and career advice.